So we are recording now. So thank you everyone for being here. So just to repeat, our original talk that was planned for today was canceled by the speaker. And so I'm going to go with my backup plan. So I always have a backup plan. So today we're going to do a session on using artificial intelligence, AI, for good. And I want to give you some demonstrations of how we can use AI and do some pretty amazing stuff with it. And I am doing a recording. And if we end up publishing this video later, I will get everyone's permission who attended before publishing. And even if one person says no to publishing it, that is okay. I will not publish it. So thank you for everybody who is here. I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day to be here. And so the agenda, basically, why would we want to use AI? There's a lot of terrible things about AI, exploitation, it being used for terrible things. And so why should we, as people fighting for justice and peace, also be using AI? And so one big reason I think that we should use AI, and we should reframe our thought process around AI and not think of it as only a bad tool, but just a tool that can be used for terrible things, but it can also be used for great things as well. And we are using lots of technology from companies that are doing terrible things. So we use the empire's tool against the empire, right? We're using Microsoft Word and Google, Gmail, and then Instagram. And we're using all these things to speak up against the genocide and help the oppressed, help the Palestinians, help the Sudanese, help the Congolese, even though these companies are very explicitly complicit with the genocide, right? So one big reason to use AI is AI uses data that's available on the internet, as well as uses data when you have conversations with AI, right? It uses that to build future responses, right? So something that many people have noticed and posted about and written about is that when you asked AI early on in the genocide, questions about the genocide, questions about Palestine, Israel, and a conflict, they were always very heavily skewed towards Israel. And over the last 18 months, that has changed. Now the AI gives much more balanced responses and much more accurate responses. And more often than not, one's basically favoring justice and equality. And the people who have made these tools, they haven't changed anything to make that happen. It's just the conversations that are happening all over the internet and all the conversations people are having with AI. That is feeding it the truths of the situation back into its algorithms. And that's what's coming out. So whatever you feed it is what comes out, basically, right? And so if you were to ask ChatGPT questions, who's committing genocide in Gaza right now, it gives you a good response. And it says there's accusation of genocide, proving genocide requires intent. There is no denying that there is a huge humanitarian crisis there because of Israel, things like that, right? And so this has changed materially in the last 18 months. And so what you can also do is if and when, let's say you have a conversation with AI, and it tells you something that is inaccurate, you can say, hey, look at this source. And based on this source, what the information you have is wrong. And so 5, 10, 100 people do that. Next time, the 101st person asking it the same question or similar questions, it will use those sources to provide better responses, right? Mm-hmm. Allies are using AI. AI gets a lot of bad rap, and for good reason. It is literally being used to determine where to bomb in Gaza right now, right? But we can also use it for good. Think of it as a tool. Please feel free to just interrupt me with questions. I cannot see people's hands in the Zoom because I'm sharing my screen, so I won't be able to moderate. Just interrupt me with questions anytime.
It's not a question. I'm just letting you know that I've been on the fence with AI for a very long time. And I'm super looking forward to what you have to share. But what you're saying makes sense to me, that if enough people feed the model, right, then it will change the story. Now, what worry is other sophisticated tools that will literally wipe off or sort of not allow these things that people are asking, specifically those of us that are peace advocates. So I worry about that, but I think we can't worry about things that are out of our control, but use AI as a tool. So I really appreciate that reframing. I just wanted to pop in and say that to you.
Thank you.
And if I may add.
Yes, please.
So I noticed because every day I'm on X and then trying to posts based on Gaza and Palestine. So I noticed that they were saying that ChatGPT is still biased, but Grok is better. So I'm not sure whose Grok application is. Is it X or?
Grok is a X application. So basically, Musk and team, they developed Grok, and all the different AI agents, they have scoured all of the internet and then condensed it into their models, and then they simply answer based on what they have learned from the internet. And one thing that they have done with Grok is put less limitations on it. So if you ask ChatGPT to swear or do ask you about illegal things and things like that, it will not answer you, right? It will just say, oh, I can't do that, right? So they have put more constraints on ChatGPT. With Grok, they have put less constraints. And there's versions of Grok available where there's no constraints. So it will be like, it will curse like a pirate and just say anything and everything and ridiculous things, anti-Semitic things, Islamophobic things, transphobic things. It just goes nuts. So there's a different kind of approaches to the way they have made the software.
So
Now,
maybe
please go ahead.
we could actually, I have experience. I started with development 40 years ago, and then I moved into analysis and project management. But I always was interested in new development of new applications. And so, I don't know, maybe even 10 years ago, we were dependent for information on the internet. We're depending on Wiki or Wikipedia, which was really terrible at that time, especially because I'm from Bosnia, and so based on Bosnian genocide and aggression, and still to this day, denial of Bosnia and denial of genocide in Bosnia. There was so much of false information, so that we had to fight. And then there was no way that you can fight, because even if you Wikipedia, if you correct some claim that is false, very soon somebody else will correct back to this. So that's what I'm really happy that it's really good to be activist today because of social media and mobile phones, that actually finally all users actually can contribute. Everybody can contribute the content, and plus everybody can check that content and verify that content. So I'm really glad that with the appearance of this AI information, but again, we need to find a way to get the most objective AI application. So I don't know why, is there any way that we can, I don't know, maybe it's already in works, that we do not rely on this ChatGPT, or we do not rely on this Western-based or Israel-based artificial intelligence?
And there's many options. And I have some knowledge of AI, but not an expert. But if you want to move away from the Western options, then there's the Chinese option, right? And there's DeepSeek. But if you ask DeepSeek about the Tiananmen Square massacre, it will not answer your question. So then the Chinese have imposed their own censorship on DeepSeek. The cool thing about DeepSeek and many other AI models is you don't have to use what the companies have built and provided for you. You can, any organization, say International or Human Rights Watch or Jewish Voice for Peace or CARE or NCCM, any organization can choose to run their own AI model, and which can answer questions and help. And then what they can do is choose to train it in a special way where it answers questions based on their own chosen knowledge base instead of the whole internet. And with things like DeepSeek and Chat and Grok, they're just using the open internet, right? And so we can continue to use these tools as well. And then because we have a vested interest, people literally do go on ChatGPT, especially millennials, and they would ask, hey, what's going on in Gaza? What's going on in Palestine? What's going on in Israel? And they do ask these questions. The millennials are doing that. They're relying on search less and less. And so the more data we feed GPT and all the prominent ones, and basically tell it the truth, the more it will be favorable towards truth and justice. But then for organizations that want to do their own specific things, they also have the option of doing that because of many of these technologies are open source. So like DeepSeek, Llama, and a whole bunch of other ones are open source. And so I can run my own DeepSeek server or Llama server or
do it. How much can I get in touch with somebody who knows how to do it? Because I would like to do it. Is it free? You said that every organization can.
So basically, typically AI requires a lot of compute power. And so you would want a server that has some graphics cards that are specially made, optimized for AI. And that's the reason NVIDIA stock has been rising through the roof, because everybody needs lots of graphics power to power these AI models. And so building your own AI kind of servers, you buy a server that's like $3,000, you can totally do that on your own. And on YouTube, you'll find literally 100 different tutorials. And so I can send you some after the call. And we can even look just right now.
So while you're doing it, one question. Is there already global organization that they will do overall generic EI website for Palestinian case, so that everybody can use it as an application or a tool?
So basically, so that could be done, and I'm not sure if anybody has done it already. And so the cost ends up being a factor there, right? So whenever we are using ChatGPT, we are costing OpenAI a decent amount of money. So when I did this search, it might have cost OpenAI maybe a cent or 5 cents or 10 cents. And then you times that by millions of users, they're like losing millions of dollars every day. But then they're starting to make money by getting developers to pay for the same service to implement in their app. And so using these technologies, you can totally do it, but then you have to pay for cost of running. So like get So if you want to roll out a service that's worldwide, that's similar to ChatGPT that anybody can use, then you would either do it on the cloud or do it using your own server. If you do it on the cloud, it'll probably end up costing tens of thousands a day. If you do it using your own servers, maybe you'll need a server farm of like 20, 30 servers to support 10,000 users every day or something like that. So it ends up being the limiting factor ends up being cost.
You can start small and then build up on that scalable model, have it little and then less, and then it depends on users. If you have more users, then maybe, I don't know, maybe if you have ads like other applications use ads to pay for it, or maybe I think it's high time that we have a membership model.
All right. So
I wanted to comment as well, if I may, about the difference between ChatGPT and first of all, hi, it's really great to be back with you guys. I'm talking to you. I think using the ChatGPT, I use it in different, sometimes I do write article in Arabic. I'm from Gaza, and when I need to write about what's going on and translate it into English, I noticed that the ChatGPT changed the translation sources. In a way, you give details and your original article in the Arabic language or whatever, and then ChatGPT smartly convert this to a very neutral language or vague translation. While I think DeepSeek could be more accurate and this, it's not biased. So it depends on how we are using these platforms as well. There are some uses that we really need to be careful, not only for the source of information, but also for the interaction with the application.
Absolutely. And these models, they have their own biases, right? Like the DeepSeek, China has put in its own kind of limitations. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right. So I want to show you some examples. And so actually, before I get there, one thing that I would highly recommend, I read this book, AI Leadership. And so basically what summary of this book is, use AI like a thought companion. And whenever you're doing anything, you ask it to help you do that thing, right? And so let's do a live example. So I'll start a new chat. So I am building pro-Palestine website. I need help setting up the infrastructure. I already have the content, and ask me 5 questions and then make a detailed plan, right? So then it will ask me a bunch of questions, and then I will answer those questions, and then it will come up with a detailed plan. And so the question that Azra asked, how can I set up my own server farm for doing something, right? And so then I would answer these questions on Google, and then it will go ahead and create that kind of plan for me, right? And so basically, whatever you're doing, you can augment your thinking process, your brain power with AI. So you're not losing human side of things. You're not telling it, oh, just make the website for me. No, you're working together. And so this is basically a summary of this book, and it goes through it in a lot more detail. I'd highly recommend reading this or listening to this on Audible or whatever, any other platform. And so far we're staying non-technical, and then I'll start to get a little bit more technical in the next section. But this is so far everything we have discussed, and this is something that you can do in your day-to-day lives. So like when I am writing some posts, I'm creating some graphics for some posts, have a whole section, a whole folder of graphics that I use, that I post on LinkedIn and sometimes other social media, but mostly just on LinkedIn. Sometimes I ask AI to help me with the text of the graphics. And so I've created a whole bunch of around 100 of these, and then I share them regularly on LinkedIn, right? And it does a far better job of conveying what I'm trying to say in better language, more captivating language, most of the time than I would do on my own. And maybe 19 out of 19 times my original is better, but most of the time the AI version is better, right? So now what I'll do is I'll show you something that I created using AI. So I basically created this app, this program that runs on a Windows computer that lets you post text and images on LinkedIn at a specified interval, and it will just, you tell it, and then it'll just post it. And so I have no programming experience. I have no development experience. Last time I programmed was 23 years ago in my first year of university, right? But then recently I've made this app, right? And then I'll show you, this app is currently running on my other computer, on my Windows computer. And so it's posting away while, so here's the last post that it did, right? And then, so it's just going through all the list of the posts that I have and text. And so I have provided it the list of posts with the text in a Excel file. So I've given it the location of all the images, which is the images that I was just showing you earlier, and whatever text I want. And then I just, so this keeps sharing these 85, 90 posts or so for me on a regular basis. And right now, I just chose a random interval. Right now, it's posting every 602 minutes, which is like 9-10 hours, something like that. So I made this app without having any programming knowledge, right? And then I made this other app. I'll show this. It's just like a survey app. And then surveys are boring, right? So then we want to make it more interesting. So then I said, let's make it in 3D with 3D buildings and cars moving around and a river going through it. And then so again, without any programming knowledge, with a tool called Cursor, I did this, right? So I'll show that tool, Cursor. So this is a tool. It works on Windows and Mac. And so this is what it looks like, right? And you can pretty much just ignore the left side of it and just tell it what you want to do, and it does it, right? And so let's try an example. So it's running right now. So make the sky green, and I'll just have to tell it what the app stuff is, right? And so it will think through it and it will do its thing. And so while it's doing this, it will just take a couple minutes to do it. I'll open a new window, and this is the auto LinkedIn here. This is the LinkedIn app that I made. So same process. Basically, I give it a bunch of prompts, and then it makes an app and it does it for me. And so I won't go through this in a lot of detail. So if this piques your interest, there's a bunch of great YouTube videos that show you how to get started with Cursor. And then I also posted one on my own website a few months ago, getting started.
You have to pay for that?
Yes. So it has a 7-day or 14-day trial period. And then after that, you have to pay $20 per month. It's not bad at all. And when you can do so many really interesting things with it. So this is the website. So I'll put this in the chat. I think it's on my other screen. So you can, and so this tutorial I made on a Windows computer. So for those, it's basically the same instructions on Windows or Mac. It's pretty much the same. It works equally well on both platforms. And so you can do lots of really cool things with it. So, and then I did a bunch of other things with Cursor. And so I made this thing, which kind of shows you, I'm just gonna, so I made this app, which shows how busy certain areas are. And then you can see leverage transit times. And this one I just made in an hour. And then the way I made it in an hour is by using techniques from a book that I learned from the AI leadership book that I mentioned earlier. And that book is not meant to be technical at all. It's just like how to use AI in a powerful way. And so one of the big powerful ways is making AI ask you questions and thinking of it like a thought companion. And so in this quick demo, I'm just showing, what all the different things. So this tool is meant for like city administrators to be able to see how busy certain streets are, what are the areas that have the most traffic, most congestion, where are the most users, people in general over the last week, or the last month, over the last year. And there were some glitches in here. It wasn't perfect, but that's how much I got done in just 1 hour by just giving it a whole bunch of prompts. And so some of the prompts that I gave it, I recorded in this video. And so you can see the process of doing it. And once it can be almost addictive using Cursor because you're like, it's so powerful. And it's not just Cursor. So Cursor has other alternatives, VS Code with Pilot and Windsurf. And there's a couple other smaller ones as well, but these are the 3 big ones. And Cursor is at the top right now. And so I did this. And then there's a few more examples on my website, but those are more boring IT stuff. And so you can go see those. And so this tool that I made, normally a developer would have taken weeks to make something like this. I did it in a few hours, right? And then same thing with this one that I did in an hour. A developer would have taken months to do it, and I did it in an hour. And then I didn't do it, I did it, but with some prompts, and the right prompts and things like that. So it's really crazy. So also even something simple, like this blog post that I made. So I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I'm moving away from Google, not using it for my search engine. So you can see I'm using Ecosia, for example. I've moved to Proton Mail. I'm doing my best to move away from big tech, right? And so this blog post, what I did is I didn't want AI to write the whole thing, but I wrote a paragraph and I gave AI some links and I said, write a blog post based on that. And it did it for me. And so 95% of this was written by AI. And then I just cleaned it up a little bit. There were some things that were not right. It's not perfect. And then I put it up on my website. So you can write blog posts with it, right? And so when you want quality output, you have to give it quality input, right? So before I did this blog post, I gave it a good 2 paragraphs worth of content and some links. And then using a combination of that, it turned it into a blog post for me. So that's that. Let's do one more kind of live demo type thing.
Can you send that to me?
This blog post? Absolutely. So this
Can
is
you
also,
actually send that to everybody, people?
so I put it in the chat and then I'll share it afterwards as well.
Just one quick question. What is the platform like your website?
I'm using
WordPress, because I'm using WordPress. I started the website 7 years ago and then I did not use it anymore to update because it was too much for me. So I was wondering if there is anything easier.
WordPress 7 years ago definitely was complicated, but now it's so easy. So it's like, so if I go to WordPress.com and then this is my website, and then I go to posts and I can add a post and then I can say anything I want, and then I can add images or even a gallery, right? And so let's just do a real life example right now. And so here's an image, here's some content. I just wrote Free Palestine, publish, and then in less than 30 seconds, I go to salmannaqvi.com and it's right there.
Amazing.
So it's so easy. And so by default, when you make a website on WordPress, then you'll get a domain like Azra at WordPress.com or whatever, right? And whatever is not taken, right? So anything unique you make. And then if you want your own domain, then you give them 15, 20 bucks a year for that.
Actually, maybe I can make another one, because at the time that I made it, it was default was WordPress.com, whatever you make, and then you have to pay for domain. So what I did, paid for domain for my organization, but maybe I can do it from the beginning with my name.
And so you do still have to pay for the domain and charge, I think, 17 or 20 US dollars
Yeah.
a year for the domain. So, and then if you do that option, then they just play some ads. And if you don't want any ads, then it's like 60 or 80 bucks a year or something like that. So, but even if you just have Azra something at WordPress.com, even that is reasonable. And so you don't even have to pay for it, but you can choose to pay for it if you like. All right, so let's do one more demo. So I mentioned Cursor, Windsurf, VS Code with Copilot. I put them in the chat. And so another one is, this one's from Google. This one just became available, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when. So for this one, let's do an idea from one of you guys, right? And so as we are looking at this, it's giving us some ideas itself, right? But let's keep it simple, because this one with Cursor and stuff, you can make some really complicated stuff and it does well. But this one, you can only do simple stuff with it. So any ideas from anyone want to share? So maybe what we can...
What kind of ideas you like?
Good. So it's giving us some ideas itself, right? An app that helps me plan my day, an app that generates poems from photos, right? An app that creates recipes from photos, things like that. And I try to tell it to make an app that uploads images automatically to LinkedIn. That would be too complicated for this tool in the current state that it is now, in the time of recording, April 2025. Probably change within a few months. So if we go to for Palestine, have a thing on their website. Is it profile picture maker, right? And so you upload any images into it, and then we pretend that this is an image of face, and it just turns it into, it puts a Palestine flag around it, and you can download it and put it on your social media, right? This is like a simple app. So if we can make an app that does that. So app that or picture of Palestinian flag on top right corner of an uploaded image, right? Okay, let's do that. And so the cool thing about this, and there's a few other companies allow you to do this kind of thing, is one of them. So I'll put a link to this in the chat, and also sure to add it in my in here as well. It's making that app in the background. Maybe we can try it in bold at the same time. Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that allows an uploaded image to have a Palestine flag on the top right. So hopefully you'll understand my wonky wording. So this has finished building that app. So let's see if it works. Okay, I'll just upload any random image, apply flag. So I think it didn't work. I just literally tell it it's not working. Is uploading, but flag is not being applied. So let's see what Bolt is doing. So Bolt is still doing stuff. And so it's literally like hundreds of lines of code in the background. So Azra, our former programmer, can kind of that. So it's seeing that there's an issue, right? And then it detects that there's an issue, and then we just tell it to literally just fix that error. So let's go back to Bolt. Okay, this built something. Okay, if this one works, there you go. Look at that. So this one worked the first time. Okay, nice. Another cool thing about this is that I can deploy this and then share it with people. You can go to this website right now. And so the way these companies, they make money is they allow you to do this kind of stuff for, if 5,000 people use this, it'll probably run out of some credit. And then after that, they'll ask me to pay for it. And then if I choose to pay for it, it'll keep running. If I choose to not pay for it, it will stop running. So if you try this on your computer right now, it work. There you go. And then I can download this image. So this is, let's see what Firebase Studio has done. Let's see if that one has worked. Apply flag. There's still an error. Sometimes it says like the error kind of own, and sometimes you just have to copy and paste the error, and then it just tries to fix it. But yeah, like that is up and running, and go nuts. You can do like many other interesting things with it. So you mentioned at the beginning of the call, like if I want to have my own kind of chat bot, right? And so one option is like a bunch of servers, you build it, and then you connect it to the internet and you chat bot that way. Another option is you use existing large language models that are available from like 50 different companies now. And you can connect them together and connect them to specific RAG. I don't remember what RAG stands for. Augmented generation, something like that. very easily you can build your own chatbot. Okay, so that option you can do. What happens with that option is that you would pay whichever large language company you're using some money for every search that's done. It might be like a cent, it might be like 5 cents, in that kind of range. And so if you have a website that was only getting like users a month, be paying $50 a month for that, right? And you could rate limit it. That you can also do without any programming language. And you can publish it immediately as well. And so like a tutorial like this one will walk you through doing that. So I'll put that in the chat as well. This is just an example tutorial. You just go to any more recent one and then you can see. Okay, we're talking a lot. Questions?
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, like you can do so many cool things with it. And like now it's just like, if I have, I just shared with you, right? This one, right? Like he had asked a developer to make this 2 years ago. It would have taken like minimum like days to make, and made it in like a minute, right? And so that time to make stuff has like exponentially. And so then when you start off with the stuff like this, and then you slowly move to stuff like Cursor, and then do more complicated things and make that tool like the auto LinkedIn. And then it's just like kind of imagination is your limit. And these apps, they have like, or even thousands of lines of code. And I didn't write a single character of it, and it's there. And could have potentially been more with this one. Try it. Let's do something. So that the flag is 50% transparent and displayed over the whole image. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if that works. And it'll, a couple minutes to do it, and maybe you won't get it right the first time. If you give it detailed prompts, it'll be more likely to give you better results, right? And then that same approach that we mentioned earlier of like a hot companion, you would do it with coding too. There you go. Look at that. It did it perfectly. Exactly what I just described. Look at that. I can put Palestine flag, and then I can just deploy this, right? Redeploy, and then now I can put the Palestinian flag on any image, right? And so I'll put it on this image. Oh, I didn't deploy yet, or maybe it deployed it on a new URL. Right, there you go. Right, like, oh, cool. And so like you can build something like this and share this instantly, and at least a few thousand people will be able to use it until you have to pay for it, and then even then you can just pay a little bit of money for it. And
Is that on your computer? On website?
Repeat the question, please.
This tool that's only on your computer?
No, this is on. You can go to this URL right now and do this yourself.
What URL? I mean, Palestine flag overlay.
Yeah.
Do you have it public on the website so that everybody can go there and then upload their picture and have Palestine flag now?
It's live right now on the web. You can try it right now. So like you click on the URL, I just pasted it in the chat. You can try it with any image.
But this is not URL like I was thinking, if you have on a website Palestine flag overlay URL, that everybody in the world can go there and upload their picture with the Palestine flag.
Yeah, I'll just take a couple extra steps to do that. And so here's another really cool thing. So like, let's try this right now. So what I'll do is, so I've created this app, right? I use Bolt to do it right in front of you, right? It overlays the Palestine flag, right? So I'll do is I'll start a new cursor. So now we're getting a slightly more advanced. A new project. So let's just say new folder, Palestine flag, right? And so I'm just starting a new project, right? And then I can tell cursor, okay, I have this website. And so let me just make this bigger. I have this website. I want to get a domain. So do actually let's do Namecheap. They are cheaper. So Palestine flag. So we search for it, right? We can just say we choose to buy palestineflag.ca, right? So we can buy it for $12 a year. This I'm not going to buy it right now, but let's say pretend that we have that domain, right? Have a domain namecheap.com. Do I Palestine flag.ca to URL? Okay, this will this will give me a very answers on how to this happen, and it will just do it it will tell me exactly what I need to do, and then you can even tell it to help you do it and process you through each step. So I would do go to my domain setting, just follow these settings, and then probably 10-15 minutes later, palestineflag.ca would be pointing here. So then when you go to palestineflag.ca, you'll get to this instead of this random URL. So in complicated apps, you probably still need a developer, but simple stuff like this, like, I can do this now. And then, yeah.
Blows your mind. Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And then, I have been using this stuff for activism stuff that I'm doing, but also for my work as well. And so, yeah. So we are have a few minutes I can stay over. So if anybody has any questions, let you all go.
Thank you so much. I learned
This
so
is-
much today.
Yeah, it's been great. I like your backup plan, man. This is pretty cool. Very good.
Maybe we could plan for similar sessions like today.
We
Not
can
to
do it
be
again.
only backup plan.
Yeah, we can do it again. Is that what you mean?
Yes. This
Yeah.
one or similar one or something else to learn.
Dive into like types of things, Yeah, right. I will stop recording now. Just bear with me.